Hi everybody, I'm Shannon Heffernan and I'm here with Wes Heffernan today. Wes is going to help me out with showing you guys how to properly thoracic or torso rotate. So this is really poorly done, I find, in most people. There's a lot of compensation that happens here, so we tend to use the shoulders too much, or we tend to use the lower body and lower back a little too much when we try and rotate. So we're going to show you just some demonstrations on where you need that thoracic rotation in your swing and where you need it in your short game, and then I'll show you guys some ways that you can see what you're actually activating or using, and then how to train it at home. So we're going to start with Wes just in a setup here, and he's going to go into a backswing. Now he's going to demo kind of the wrong way to do a backswing here. So a lot of the times when we're teaching our golfers, we see a lot of kind of lifting the club up with the arms, feeling like you're turning, but you're actually using more of the shoulders and the arms to actually lift the club up. So that's one thing that it'll decrease your ability to create good rotation in the backswing, but it also decreases the ability to use core and to feel that really good coil, both back and in the downswing. Now, if Wes was to go into a downswing, so one of the issues on the downswing is we need the lower body to start to rotate first. The lead hip will go back. What we need after that though, and this is another area that people really struggle. So a lot of times, I know Wes teaches this a lot, when the torso doesn't properly rotate, the hips, even if the hips do rotate, so go ahead and rotate the hips through. If the torso doesn't rotate, and then we tend to just drop the hands in the club at the ball, it's still not quite right. So I think a lot of people miss this second step, which is trying to turn the torso after the hips. Now you might need some help. Yeah, that's exactly it. So this is something obviously that professionals do very, very well. But if you want to demo that one more time for me. So the hips will start to go, and then you'll notice that Wes's torso has rotated a good kind of 30 degrees here with his hips. So that's called covering the ball, where most of us, when we come through, would likely be, unless you're a slicer, most of us will be like here where the shoulders are down and basically straight to the target line. Would you agree with that? Yeah. Yeah, okay. So covering the ball, if you really struggle with kind of hooking the ball, stuff like that, we want to feel like that torso can rotate through, and that's that extra element of power as well. Now the other area that we need that thoracic or torso rotation is in our short game. So if Wes goes into like a putting stroke here, so for a really good putting stroke, we need to be able to really keep that lower body still. We don't want to see any transfer of weight between the feet. That can challenge the consistency, the weight control of the putts. And you'll notice that rotation is really coming through the torso here. So it's not the arms, you want to demo the arms kind of separate from the body a bit. So you'll see kind of the elbows pulling away. And then this is where we really get into troubles when the hips start to move. So learning proper thoracic rotation, what you'll find is it really kind of, it hones in all these little compensations, and it allows you to be completely still from belly button down and feel like kind of that whole top is a unit. So this is really important for putting, chipping. I know personally I feel a big difference in sand play as well. I'm one that's kind of always struggled with hitting fat shots. And when I started to feel like I could actually turn my torso through it, it brought the club in a better position into that impact position and really improved my short game quite a bit. So now what I'm going to do is kind of show you guys how you compensate, and then I'll give you a drill you can do at home. So yeah, we'll put the club away. We'll just pull that bench out a little bit here. So this is a stretch I do with a lot of the clients, a lot of our clients in the studio. Now you can work with this a little bit with a partner at home if you have somebody that can help you out with this. So we're going to cross your arms across your chest, and we're going to think of, go wider with the legs, and then knees about 90 degrees. So you want to feel, so with Wes, I kind of want his belly button down to stay still, okay? I'm going to turn him into rotation, and then I'm going to ask him to rotate back, and we're just going to kind of see what he naturally engages to rotate his torso. So I usually grab the arm, I put my hand on the back, and I twist Wes here into rotation. We try and cue the lower body staying nice and still. And then I just guide where that rotation is coming from, which is the really nice high upper back, not mid and not low. So then from here, I'm going to have Wes try and rotate back to center at 20%, 40%, and 60%. Good. And relax. So I'd say pretty good. I've actually never done this one with Wes before. Pretty good, but definitely there was a pull from this left hip. So in that initial pull with the torso, I felt that the lead hip, or the left hip in his case, trying to kind of initiate that turn. So this is one I see quite often, but most people, if you want to demo a little more exaggerated for me, so if you go back into that turn. So a lot of people will, I'm going to hold you here. So a lot of people will drive the left hip back and it actually engage the lower back. So I don't know if you can see that, but Wes is kind of pulling that left hip back and it's engaging his lower back a little bit on the left side. Now this is specifically just for torso rotation. So we're not talking about trying to get the lower body to lead here, which we know we need. We're just trying to get that feeling of, can we rotate this thoracic spine, which is basically from here to here? Can we get that to rotate by itself? So I don't want to see any movement from the lower body at all, okay? So there's a little bit of compensation in the hips there. So to clean that up, if we turn Wes again here, I want to see that lower body stay completely still, no movement in the pelvis, and then we rotate, try and rotate back to center. I'm going to let go of this hand. You keep that core going. So the movement or the activation is going to come through the obliques. So we want it kind of right around the rib cage in this area. That's how we engage the core to actually rotate through the swing. Okay, there's one more compensation we see a lot as well. So if I bring Wes back into that rotation again, the other big one is usually I can't kind of hold someone if they're fully activating their core. It's very strong, very powerful. But if somebody tries to use their shoulders to turn, I can hold that really, really easily. So that was that first demonstration we did when you were taking that club back with kind of the arms and hands, shoulders, right? But we weren't using the actual rotation in the torso. So those are the two big compensations that we're really trying to get rid of. When we turn, we don't want to use the shoulders. When we try and turn the thoracic spine, we don't want to activate the hips and the lower back to get that rotation. We really want to feel the obliques engage and that movement happen from about, actually, can you stand up and turn around for me? So we want to feel from here to about here rotating. So that's the thoracic spine. I would say most of us tend to rotate too much through this mid back, and then when we get the hips moving too much, we tend to use the lower back to rotate too much. So we want to think of this area, we want to feel that stretch through that thoracic spine. All right, so then we're going to show you, this one's going to be a little bit more difficult just because we don't actually have the proper chair here, but I'm going to try and show you a way that you can do this at home now. So Wes, if you want to maybe sit down again here. So one way is if you have a partner, you can, with your arms across your chest, you can just have them turn you into what feels like about a 5, 6 out of 10 stretch, and you're feeling that through the upper back. And then you just try and activate back to center, and you go it slowly. So you try and activate at 20%, turn back to center, 40%, and then 60%. And then at 60%, we hold that for about 15 to 20 seconds. And you're just really focused on that core activation. We hold, and then you relax. And then you can try and rotate the other direction. So this is our pales contraction. Our rails contraction, we'd be trying to rotate further. So try and rotate to the right. And then same thing, we try and activate the core. You're going to get a little more activation through the spine here, and that's okay. That's our rails contraction. We hold that for 15 to 20 seconds, and then we come back to center. So that's if you have somebody helping you out. If you don't, ideally you have a chair with arms on the side or the side of a couch. So if Wes was sitting on the side of his couch here, just put your arms out in front. So basically what he would do is turn his torso. He would grab the hand or the arm of the chair, And then same thing, you would try and activate the core and pull back to center without actually moving too much. You're just trying to activate. So he would be, again, seated in a chair that has an arm, and you just hold onto that arm. You activate both sides and start to get the feeling of it in your obliques. So once you've got that feel, if you want to come back up for me, Wes, this time we're going to demo a proper backswing. So once you have the feel of the torso, it should feel like when you bring that club back, you can actually use the core of the body. We get a nice full turn with the shoulder underneath the chin, which allows you to get a little more extension because it doesn't call on the shoulders quite so much. Then on the way through, we should be able to get, we haven't talked about pelvic rotation, but that's a whole nother video. Once the pelvis goes, then you want to feel like that core really activates to come on top and get that kind of covering of the ball so that we're rotating kind of what we would call through to the left or swinging through to the left. Was that what you would kind of call it, Wes, too? Yeah. Okay. So not only full swing, so that's where really good players, I'd say, do a much, much better job. Whereas we tend to just be more arms, hands, we use our shoulders too much, and we really don't use the core of the body. So hopefully this really helps you guys out. If you can get a sense of this, it should allow you to feel the core a little bit more in your swing. It should allow you to activate better and hopefully get some more consistency and even some more power out of your game.